Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Menachos daf Yud, we are going to begin on Testament Bays by the two dots, Chomatz B'Smoil. So, we learned in the Mishnah that when it comes to doing Kamitza, it's necessary that it needs to be done with the right hand. Our Mishnah says on daf Vav that Chomatz B'Smoil, if you did Kamitza with your left hand, it's puzzle. Ben Beser Oimer Yachser Yachser V'Yikmatz B'Yamin. You could actually put it all back into the kli and start all over again and do it properly. Okay. But clearly everyone holds you can't use your left hand. So how do we know that this is the case? So Omer Rabbi Zeir the Yemerkar, the pasuk says V'Yikrav as a mincha. It says you should be makrav the mincha V'Yamoli kapo mimena kaf. So it talks about this kaf, that it should be filled up. Now, kav ze'eni odea mahu, we don't know exactly what we're talking about, because sho'imer v'lokach ha'koyin miloika shemen, it says that the kohen will take from the lug of a measure of shemen, the yitzoik al kaf ha'koyin hasmoilus. So what they would do as part of the procedures, they would actually pour the oil onto the kohen's left hand, and kan smiles. We can make a diak and say only in this case can it be done with left hand. Of course, we find by Yom Kippur it's also in the left hand, but we see clearly over here that it was done with the left hand, on the left hand. There's mashma hokal makam shenemer kaf inu alimin. Because why does the pasuk have to say kaf yaminis, kaf asmoilus? It must be telling you that if it didn't say the word smileless, you would automatically assume it has to be done with the right hand. So this is TB22, in which asks this question: Mehechi alfina de kamitza biyamin, or Rabbanan or Rav Shimon. So one answers what we just saw, that it says kaf smoilus, which is mashma. If it without the word smoilus, right? So you would know, and it must be therefore referring to, got an aleph in there, then it would be yamin dafka. Okay, so therefore that would certainly be one interpretation. Okay. Weiter, we just need this from the pasuk itself. So how can you make a diak from it? So smoilus achrin iksiv. It actually says it twice. Maybe the fact is, if it has two miyutim, like two negatives, it actually becomes a positive. So smoilus achrin. It says it another time. Kan smolis, ve'en achar smolis. Only in this case, the left, nothing else. The ema adraba. Maybe it's the opposite. Ma kan smolis, ha'pa'al not mean smolis. Maybe it's coming to tell you that you could always use your left hand. So no, arba smolis ksivi. There's four. Trey ba'ani and trey ba'asher. Two of them are mentioned regarding the carbon, that the offering by a person who is poor, and two of them are mentioned with regard to when they're wealthy. This is a very lengthy Rashi. Arba smolis ksivi chad gufa. So this is how Rashi interprets it. One is for the pasuk itself. The second was to tell you it's not a miyad achar, and therefore the third, v'chad shloi taimer, don't say the high de kamel hachi also makan smolos av bi'alma smolos. Don't say that it's also the left. The imkain high batru lumli. Then why do you need a fourth one? Okay, so that's basically the idea. So the amount of times it says smoilus is pretty interesting, but the point is that's dafki here, but not in any other case. Okay, so that's what we say. All right. Trey ba'ani and trey ba'asher. So Amalei Rav Yirmeli Rav Zera. So he says al boyhen yado hayemanis, al boyhen ragul hayemanis. So when it comes to the blood applications, it says that it must be done on the right thumb, the right earlobe, the right toe, and it keeps mentioning the word yemanis over and over. D'chsiv b'shem matzar asher lamali. So why does it have to keep saying this? So as we can let's look at the parentheses. The ha ksav al dam ashim. So chad l'hachshir stadim v'chad lifsoil sidi stadim. So this straight out of the gate is question 3. Kivan diksib b'dam ashim etzayra yad v'regel. It mentions already the words yad and regel. V'darshina nahari yamin. We say it's on the right one. So lomli the kasam rachman b'shemen. Why, if that's the case, if that's what it is by the dam of the ashim etzayra, so then why, when it comes to the shemen, it says al boyhin yado hayamanis, al boyhin ragel hayamanis, vashamina l'medichsiv al dam ashim nitin al shemen. That's the shemen. You would think that it should be the same place, right? So you should maybe put it on the same place. So your answer is chadal haksher stadin, which Rashi says shel boyhin. Even if it's like on the side, it's also okay. However, the other time is to tell you that possible sidi stadin. What's that? Says Rashi, basar hatachtain shekeneged hakaf. The basar underneath, opposite the palm, the al amrinan v'otachas, not the bottom. So we machshir sidi stadim, not sidi stadim. Okay, that's what it's come to tell you. That's the reason why it says it there. Even though again, since it already says by dam ashim etzayra, again it already says yad yad v'regel, and we say that's the right. So why is it necessary when it comes to the application of the oils that it should be? It says yamanis. So of course it should be the yamanis. So the chiddush is that it's come to tell you these two other drushes that it's a mater stadim but not sidi stadim. Al dam ha'asham, when the pasuk says al dam ha'asham, al makam dam ha'asham, on the same place where the dam asham was put, so too is where you put this oil. So lamai asu. So what is this coming to us, telling us? Tani sricha. So we say srichi. So again, you could say, ask the same question. So why do you need this? We already know that you put it in the same place, which is the right. In niskaneach loy. You would think, says Rashi, lamali klamer trei kroi lamali. So you would have thought, Isa ladam, if the blood is still there, then yitain Hashem, and then you put the oil. Avol niskaneach, says Rashi, if you wiped off the dam first, then lu yitain Hashem, because Rachman al makoim, which means even if the blood is not there, right? So even if the blood is gone, still you can do the oil. Because of Rachmanu al Makoim Havamina Davka Niskanech. Maybe it means you do have to wipe it off, so it's not there anymore. Maybe if the blood's still there, you can't put the oil there. So therefore, the truth is, it doesn't matter. If the blood's there, good. If it's not there, it's not a problem. As long as you do it in the right place, that's the main thing. Okay, so Amar Rava. Al dam ha'asham, that you place it on the same place, the oil where the dam ha'asham was put. Vel makam dam ha'asham, ksiva yamanis badam. As we said, we already know that it's supposed to be done on the right. Al boyhin yado hayamanis, al boyhin rago hayamanis, that the applications are put on the right finger and the right thumb, right toe. Utsricha. So why does that have to mention the right side there? To El Amar Rabba Yad Yad L'Kamitza. This is the drasha. Yad Yad L'Kamitza. Regel L'Chalitza. Oizen L'Ritzia. Okay, so let's get all this down over here. So, and this is actually question TA19. Okay. Yes, what do we learn out from Yad Yad, Regel, Oizen? So is TA19. So, what do we learn out from here? So first of all, Oizen Luritzia. So, fine. So we have to look at Rashi for all of this. Omer Rava, so the Kamitza, the Smoil Pasul. How do we know it's on the that Kamitza on the left is Pasul? So this is again one of the answers, yad, that Kemitza biyad is possible. Okay, so that's one thing that we learn out, which is TB22. Again, that yad l'kemitza, and then regel a chalitza. What is that referring to? Regel when it comes to chalitza. So Rashi says that regel shemen de mitzaira usher. What do we learn out from there? Gzer shava, that also the chalitza, when you remove the shoe from his foot, it also has to be the right shoe. Oizin l'ritzia, what is that referring to? So after, as Rashi points out, that if a person wishes to stay after being an Eved Ivri, after his 6 years, he wants to remain, so he has to go, and his ear is going to be bored through with an awl, spelled A-W-L, and it's done by the right side. Mam Mitzari Yamanis, after Ritzia Yamanis. So we learn out this Gzer Shava. That's how we learn out. And then Rashi says, Ud'ani lu dorshulhu, Rabba. We don't learn a chiddush here, it's just repeated stam, as Rashi explains. Okay. So that, again, answers question TA19, these drushes. That the right is for Kemitza, the right foot is for Chalitza, and the right ear is Ritzia. Smile is the Ani Lamayasa, or the Usher, it says on the Maseres Shas and the Girsas. What do we do with the word smiles by the Usher? Lamayasa, some Rav Shisha Bereda Rav Yidi, Lifsol Yamin de Kayin b'Matzayra. To passel that when it comes to the right hand and the Kayin regarding Matzayra, said that the oil is put into his left hand. Shaloi Taimer Maba Makam Shalonis Nisravta Smile Nisravta Yamin. In a place where it doesn't mention anything about left, we include the right. So Malachim Nisravta Smile. In the case where we do mention the left, Eno Din Nisravta Yamin. So we would think that you could accept the oil with the right. Says Rashi, that's why we have to say it by the usher. To say that it must be with the left and not the right hand. So the smoilus kama lamiyadhu. Okay. So anyway, the point is that you would think if madach in many places you can't use your left hand, so you can only use your right. So then the fact that it says you can use your left, okay, fine, but you should certainly still be able to use your right. So the chiddush is, no, it's dafka in the left. That the oil of the mitzayra to the kayin is put on in his left hand. V'idach smoilus v'yad v'regel yamanis the ani l'mayasa. So what does this other shita who says Rashi miyoyte l'mayasa? So he says, "L'gatana de Rabbi Shmuel, kol parsha shenamar v'nishnis." Any parsha which is said and repeated, lo nishnis el b'shvil davar shnis chadish ba. It's only for a matter which is for its chiddush. Says Rashi, the parshas ani nischadish carbon oil v'yared. The whole parsha is repeated only for this one thing, namely that there's a din of oil v'yared, depending on one's financial status, that a person could give different offerings depending on how wealthy they are. So you don't really need a drasha for anything else, even though it seems like there's a lot of extra words. Omer Rabba Bar Chana Rab Shimon ben Lakish Kol Makam Shenamar Etzba Ukahuna. Anytime you find in the Torah where it mentions the word etzba, finger, and the word kahuna, and yamin. So that is only with the right. If it mentions etzba and kahuna. So savadat, I mean, etzba, kahuna, be'inan, that you need both. It says the word kayin, midama chatas be'etzba'i. So it mentions both of them. So maybe when it has the word kayin and etzba, that's what it means. No, it's not true though, because our kamitza, the luksiba el kahuna, it doesn't say the word etzba, it only says the word kahuna, but tanan comes with a small puzzle. So I'm Rabbi o etzba o kahuna. The truth is, it could either be either etzba or kahuna. You don't need either one of them will automatically indicate that it must be done on the right. So when it comes to bringing the limbs on to the ramp of the Mizbeach, the Chsibahu Kahuna, it does say Kahuna, the Chsib V'hikriv Koyin Es HaKoyel HaMinchasa, HaMizbecha, the Yom Ramar Zu Halachas Eivar Mekevesh, that's what it's referring to Tanan, but yet we learn Haregel Shimin Mismoil Ubeis Arab L'chutz. It mentions that the right regel, when it's being transported, if you will, it's done with the left hand. And you have all these different sacrificial parts, so the regel yamin is put actually, ironically, in the left hand. But we see clearly that even though it says the word kayin, obviously it's not true. It could be done, it is done in the left hand. So ki I'm reading oy etzba ukahuna, but never hamaakiv kapara. The only time is if it's ma'akiv kapara. However, when it comes to the bringing of the limbs to the kevesh, that's not something which is ma'akiv kapara anyway, and therefore that's why it doesn't have to be with the right hand. Bahari Kabbalah, when it comes to the Kabbalah Saddam, we know that's certainly a davar hama'akiv kapara. We definitely need to be makabel the dam. That's one of the arba avodos, which has to be done by a kohen. Because of kahuna, the chsiv v'hikrivu b'nei Aharon kohanim es dam zu Kabbalah Saddam b'tanan kiba b'small puzzle. Rav Shimon mashir. Now, of course, this is a machlokus, but apparently, according to Rav Shimon, for some reason he's mashir, even though it says the word kosher, kahuna. So Rav Shimon ka'amrit. Well, you have a question according to only sheet of Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon Tarti boy, he actually requires both of them. Now, it has to say the word etzba and kahuna, and therefore, since it doesn't say etzba and kahuna there, but it's not a problem. Therefore, that's the reason why he mashers a with the left hand. Mibo Rav Shimon Tarti, does Rav Shimon require that you have to have etzba and kahuna in a pasuk in order to require it has to be in the right hand, and therefore for why he says talk over here that it's kosher. Losanya Rav Shimon Omer Kol Makom Shnemer Yad Inu El Yamin. The word yad means right. Etzma inu el yamin, which is mashma. All you have to have is one of them, and that is sufficient. Your answers, and this is one of the answers we've said in numerous places. Etzba lo boy kahuna, kahuna boy etzba. In other words, if it has the word etzba, that's it, right? All it needs to do is have the word etzba, right? Etzba. I'll just write the way it's written over here. Lo boy kahuna. But kahuna, which is, of course, we're talking about the word, boy etzba. So in other words, the fact is, if it just says the word kahuna, that's not enough, which is the reason why he says, in this case, that using your left hand is okay, even by Kabbalah Stam. That's because it only says the word kahuna. However, in this situation, if it would say the word etzba alone, then that would be sufficient. Ella kayin lamali. So if it's true, then why by Kabbalah Saddam does it say the word kayin if you don't need a kayin? The answer is bikahanoi. In other words, he should be in his big day kahuna, as Rashi says. So even though he is allowed to do it with his left hand, the Kabbalah Saddam, technically, according to him, doesn't seem like it's a chachila, it's like it's kosher or whatever. But if you did it, it's okay. So then, in that situation, it would be, you have to still wear your big day kahuna. So question 4. Be'elu avoidais, this is going to be Yud Amid Aleph, Hazevach, Pligu Tanakam Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon says it's kosher, b'smoil. All right. So according to Rav Shimon, this is question 4, right? Rav Shimon holds that when it comes to Kabbalah's dam, right? Zu Kabbalah's dam, right? So he holds that it's even kosher with your left hand. So that actually is a machlokas. Be'elu avoidus hazevach pligu Tanakam Rav Shimon. So b'may pligi. So they argue because it only says the word kahuna, not etzba. Let's see, that's what it says here. Kamifli b'makam shnemer b'kor kahuna v'nemer etzba im boy yamin, which is what this pasuk says. What it says over here, the etzba lo boy kahuna. The question is, the machlokas is that if it just says kahuna alone, does that mean yamin, or does it mean? That's the sheet. Rav Shimon says it just the word etzba. And the Tanakama holds afilu im katuv rak tevat kehuna. Okay, So that there's again a lot of answers over here, quite a lot of points. Okay, so weiter v'hari zrika the lo kasabe el kahuna. When it comes to zrika, this is going to be also part of the answer for question 4, right? That they're also going to argue v'tanan zark b'small pasul v'lo polig Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon does not argue when it comes to zrika. So Rabbi polig b'brisa. Okay, fine. It doesn't argue there, but if you look in the brisa, they do argue. The Sanya kibbel b'smoil pasul Rav Shimon machsher zark b'smoil pasul Rav Shimon machsher. So we see again that Rav Shimon holds. Just like when it comes to Kabbalah's dam, Zrikas Adam, it was done with left hand, it's kosher because even though it says the word kahuna, you need etzba also. Why do you need this gzer shava yad yad mikahuna nafka? For according to this shita, all you need is the word kahuna to say it has to be with your right hand and not the left. So why do you need the gzer shava? Chad l'kaimitz v'chad l'kidush. So one has to do with doing the kamitza, and the other one has to do with the kiddush of the mincha offering. Whereas it says 1 second. Kaimitz, when it comes to doing the kamitza with your right hand dafka, Rav Shimon, the little boy, fine. Rav Shimon, v'chad l'kiddush kaimitz. So Rav Shimon, the little boy, kiddush kaimitz, he holds you do not have to actually be mekadosh in a klisharis, right? You don't actually have to put it first in. You don't have to put it into a klisharis. You don't have to be mekadosh. You could just do it directly from the kmitza directly into the to be makdir it. So according to him, the little boy kiddush kaimitz. Okay, so like this. The chad the kiddush kaimitz. Rav Shimon, the little boy kiddush kaimitz. L'mandi Yermer Nami, the boy kiddush kaimitz. Rav Shimon uvesmoil echshuri machshir. Yad. So according to him, he says it's kosher. So yad the rebel lamali ilu kamitza gufa. The question is the kamitza itself. Live the Rav Shimon. Mid Rabbi Yehuda bereid the Rabbi Chia nafka. The Rabbi Yehuda bereid the Rabbi Chia. My time with the Rav Shimon. Why is he machshir? The Yom Krah Kaddish Kadashim he kachatas u'ka'asham. Bol avoida biyad ovda biyamin kachatas bol ovda b'klei ovda b'smoil. So he says like this: when it comes to doing the avoda with your yad, so it has to be with your right hand. However, which is like kachatas. When it comes to doing with a kli, they can be in the left hand. Kichatas. Let's go into Rashi. Rav Yanai Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Chada Imer Time Rav Shimon Delo Boy Matan Kli. The reason why you don't need to put it into the Kli, Kivan de Kamatz Mekli Sharetz, since the Kmitza was from a Kli Sharetz, Mi'alehu Matiru Afil B'Makdish Shalcheres V'Chada Imer B'Chol Makom Hakol Moedim B'Kaimitz Shetoin Kiddush. Actually, you do need to put into a Kli Sharetz. B'Hada Mashur Rav Shimon Shlo B'Kli Sharetz B'Haktaris HaMincha Kaimer. Okay, fine. So I end up saying, when it comes to your yad, when it comes to avoda, which is using your hand, shlo kiddush, kaimitz, b'kli, you don't put into a kli, elo kaimitz v'hoylech v'hikdir b'yadai, you just immediately do the kamitz and you bring it to the mizbeach, said avoda is biyamin, then it should be in your right hand, just like a chatas. The chatas, lavad biyamin, he has to be in your right hand, clearly, because it says the word etzba, it says the word kahuna. When it comes to a chatas, it says v'lakach hakayin medam achatas be'etzba'i. So oiv de kli. However, if let's say you put it into a kli sharis, you're mekanish the kaimitz and the kli, then b'smoil ka'asham etzayra. The ksibei smoil, as we said, that's the oil is put into the left hand of the kayin. So alma Akshi lachatas mahacha nafik the whole avoidus mincha tanasas biyad yamin beinan biyad yad lamali. Okay. Well, nitzracha el kaimitz the minchas chayte. Salcha dat ramino hoyel v'yem Rav Shimon shleihei karbano muhuder. Again, we don't want it to be muhuder. That's why minchas chayte doesn't have anything in it. There's no oils. There's no frankincense. So ki kamatz la nami b'smoil tiskasher. Therefore, maybe you can use your left hand, kamash mon, even though it's by minchas chayte, and you think maybe we're more lenient when it comes to that. We are not. We'll say no. It has to be done with the right. I'm going to stop there. So again, question 4 asks, where do we find the machlokas Tanakam Rav Shimon? So we said the machlokas is by Kabbalah, and by Zrika, and the question is kahuna enough? Does it also have to say the word etzba? Okay, TA 22. Mehechi Alfina the Kmitza B'Yamin L'Rabbanu Rav Shimon. I wrote a bunch of whole stuff. It says Kaf Smoilus. So therefore, if it without the word Smoilus, you would understand the word Kaf refers to the Yamin Davka. Gzer Shavag Yad Yad. The Kmitza must be Yad. It has to be again. It has to be in the right hand. Rav Shimon will hold Etzba will boy Kahuna boy Etzba, as opposed to the Tanakama. If you all it does say the word Kahuna, that would already be enough. That would already be enough to say it requires the right hand. It can't be with the left hand. Okay, that's 22. Let's see if TB. That was TA rather. Do we have the Gzera Shava? Okay, that's it. Adka.